Today on Forbes, inside a real estate billionaire's fight to revive his aging empire. On January 15th, real estate billionaire Charles Cohen called Forbes from a no-caller ID phone, as he always does. For 4 months, Forbes had been trying to get Cohen to sit down and discuss the mounting debt and vacancies at the buildings owned by his real estate firm, Cohen Brothers Realty. In September, he said to check back in November. In November, he said to call in January. A couple of weeks ago, Cohen said he was going on vacation. He didn't specify where, but he often jets to his vineyard in the south of France, Château de Chausse, or his Palm Beach penthouse. He also has apartments in West Hollywood and Manhattan, and a sprawling home in Greenwich, Connecticut. Then Cohen asked if the story could be delayed once again for 4 to 6 weeks, when he would explain how his firm had, quote, turned the corner. He mentioned several refinancings and new leases he claimed were in the works, and said, quote, "If you run a negative story, it's going to hurt me. It makes it harder for us to rent when people think there's a problem that really isn't a problem." Cohen finally relented only after Forbes explained the story would run regardless, and had his executive vice president sit down with Forbes to go over financials. There is no doubt that Cohen, who took over his father and uncle's firm in the 1980s and expanded it by building and buying prime office towers in Midtown Manhattan, now finds himself in a tricky spot. Since the pandemic emptied offices, many of his prized properties lost tenants. At least 6 of his buildings sit more than 20% empty, with 3 of those less than 60% occupied. At the same time, he struggled to make payments on at least $1.1 billion in debt, according to loan filings and court documents, resulting in the loss of 4 properties at a foreclosure auction in November. All of that has dealt a blow to Cohen and his fortune, which peaked at $3.7 billion in 2022, when he was flush with cash and interest rates were near zero. Forbes now estimates he's worth $1.6 billion. About 2/3 of that lies in his real estate holdings, which have lost value as tenants fled to newer, amenity-rich skyscrapers. Cohen disputes the valuation, claiming it should be higher. Stephen Cherniak, Cohen Brothers' chief operating officer, said that the firm is up to date on loan payments for buildings that carry more than half that $1.1 billion debt load. Plus, Cherniak is confident the properties will land more tenants in the first half of this year. Cohen's troubles made headlines on November 8th, when one of the largest foreclosure auctions in New York history took place. Up for sale were 5 of his holdings: an 800,000 square foot office and design complex in Dania Beach, Florida, a nearby Le Méridien Hotel, a former hotel site in Rye Brook, New York, and theater chains in the US and the UK. At the end of the bidding process, Cohen's creditor, Fortress Investment Group, walked away with nearly everything, paying just under $150 million for the design complex, hotel, UK theater chain, and Rye Brook site. In the past 2 years, Cohen has had to deal with mounting troubles at his office towers. He lost several major tenants, including WeWork, which vacated more than 200,000 square feet at several properties, while keeping much less space. And debts racked up as repayment dates loomed. His buildings struggled to compete with brand new skyscrapers with luxury amenities, making it tougher to replace those leases, according to several brokers. High interest rates also made it harder to refinance, and when he did, it was on unfavorable terms. At the same time, the rest of his empire also took a hit. The pandemic shuttered his theaters across the country, and his design centers lost tenants too. He lost the one in Florida to Fortress, but has 3 more, including 2 in Los Angeles and New York, where occupancy has dipped below 80%. For his part, Cohen insists the picture isn't as bad as it looks, pointing to better leasing activity and a recent uptick in sales of office buildings. For full coverage, check out Giacomo Tognini's piece on forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.